subscribe.
He has also talked about it. That left hook is so great, and it's so long and so precise and so hard, but
What's going on, boxing fans? It's Backchat TV, and I'm back with another video. This time we're speaking about Romero. Trash talking gone wrong. I'm actually going to speak about both fights. The main event, which was Tszyu versus Fundura, and Romero versus Pitbull Cruz. I'm going to speak about Pitbull Cruz first. I don't know why. Just that was actually the last fight that I watched, and it was an exciting fight, to be honest. Not because it was competitive, but because, you know, unfortunately, when someone with the personality of Romero gets beaten, you just love to see them humbled. To be honest, you know, Romero was humbled for all the trash talking and all the chihuahua talk and everything, you know. And this is what often happens to people who trash talk, who are arrogant, overconfident, things like that. You know, don't get me wrong, I like Romero for his personality, as in you know, the whole trash talking thing, and he can really build up a fight sometimes by the things he says. But you know, this is what happens to trash talkers, man. He acted as if Pitbull didn't have a chance, same way he acted against Gervonta Davis. It's called arrogance. If you want to know the difference between arrogance and confidence, just look at Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz is the embodiment of confidence, and Romero is the opposite, and that's why he lost. First thing I want to say is congratulations to Pitbull Cruz. I am really starting to like this guy. I think that Pitbull Cruz is one of the most improved fighters this year. He's the most improved from when I saw him before Gervonta Davis. He always had that talent, but he made a lot of mistakes. He had kind of slow feet, a lot of different things you could point out. And then after fighting Gervonta Davis, he has to be one of the most improved fighters. His guard is tighter. He's behind that tight guard. He throws some real mean hooks. You can see he's got stronger, definitely got stronger, more punching power. I like the way he pressured Romero in this fight. He didn't give Romero any space to breathe. Like I said, he had the door closed all the way through the fight with the hands up. He was just dangerous, very dangerous. He was really punching with intention in this fight, you know. And you know, it's funny, I used to spar myself. I used to box myself many years ago. I found that the most difficult fighters to fight were people like Pitbull Cruz. Those kind of short, stocky, powerlifting type of physique that are very strong, put up their guard, come forward, throwing mean hooks. It wasn't the guys throwing jabs, to be honest. It was the guys throwing mean hooks, power in both hands. They were the most difficult people I found to fight. And I found that it took me a very long time to figure out. You have to go through the fire with these guys, you know. To beat that style, I feel like you need to use any opportunity, or take any opportunity, I should say, to stop their momentum going forward. You know, any opportunity to stop that momentum, whether it's pushing them back, whether it's holding sometimes on the inside, they're building momentum as they're coming forward. And the more you back off, because you're moving around, because they're throwing a lot of shots, you're allowing them to build more momentum. So it's better to actually kind of stop that momentum by clinching when the opportunities arises, throwing more shots, a lot of jabs, just to, like, a lot of feints, a lot of jabs, just to kind of make them reset a lot of the times before you throw the right hand. You need to throw more volume, because the more shots you throw, maybe not power shots, but just to keep them off you. But at the same time, that strategy can backfire, because you got to remember, they want you to throw a lot of jabs, you know, so they can counter with those big looping hooks that Pitbull Cruz was throwing, and that was really giving Romero a lot of trouble. And that's something Rolly really needed to do, you know, throw more shots, to throw more jabs, give him more to think about, rather than just moving around the ring. His defense was trash as well, to be honest. His defense wasn't great, you know. So, but either way, congratulations to Pitbull Cruz. I would be happy to put him in there with anyone at 140 pounds now. You know, honestly, I think he beats Sabrius Mateus. I think he beats him. I think Mateus, although he's really good at certain things, I think he makes a lot of mistakes. And Pitbull Cruz is looking more polished. He's looking more focused. He was focusing on the fundamentals. You could see his footwork. You could see he didn't lose focus. He kept his hands up. I didn't see him drop his hands once. Kept his hands in position. He kept a good distance. You could see that he was really focusing on his game plan. And I think that's really good. That's a good sign that a fighter is really growing and getting better when they can focus on the game plan and then implement the game plan. That's exactly what Pitbull Cruz was doing. So congratulations to Pitbull Cruz. Like I said, I would have him beating the likes of Mateus at 140. I would have him doing really well, if not winning, against Teofimo Lopez even at 140. But I don't want to make predictions. All I can say is that it's an exciting time for boxing. It's an exciting time for the 140-pound division. It is getting stacked, and it's very competitive. So I'm quite excited to see where this goes, where Pitbull Cruz goes, who he fights next. I'm really starting to like Pitbull Cruz, and I'm putting him up there now with the best guys. And I'm not just jumping on the bandwagon just because of this win over Rolly. It's a few things. It's the way he looked. He looked more polished. He had improved on previous things that he didn't do so well. A lot more focused on his game plan. I just think, and a lot of the top guys at 140, you've seen a lot of mistakes, a lot of slippage from some of them. Teofimo Lopez being one of them. Mateus make a few mistakes and get hit quite a few times. I've seen in certain fights, I've seen some mistakes that someone like Pitbull Cruz could capitalize on. So it's getting exciting. I can't wait to see who Pitbull Cruz fights next. It's been rumored that he's going to fight Sabrius Mateus. And like I said before, I've got him winning that fight. It's a tough fight, but I've got him winning that fight. Let me know what you think in the comments about that one. And now for the main event, Tszyu, Fundura. It didn't disappoint. Not at all, actually. I enjoyed the fight. I don't know what to say. To be honest, I'm going to need you guys' help with this one. I don't know who won. Let me know in the comments who you thought won. I don't know who won. I thought Tszyu started, he was lively early on. He was evading some of the jabs that Fundura was throwing. He was landing good right hands. He was landing the harder shots, I thought, Tszyu. I thought he looked good early on. Fundura, I like the fact that Fundura is using his jab now. I mean, I don't know, it took him to actually get beaten in his last fight to realise that he is 6'6" with a massive 80-something reach. At this weight, he has to use that jab. And I'm glad that he did use it on this occasion. He used it to good effect. He opened up the right hand for him on a number of occasions. He kept his distance well. But I thought Tszyu kind of adapted to that quite well. He wasn't getting hit that flush with shots until the cut. But I can't remember what round it was. Someone tell me what round it was. He got hit early with an elbow. It wasn't intentional, but he got hit with an elbow by Fundura, which opened up a massive gash on the forehead of Tszyu, and the blood was just pouring. There's nothing they could do to stop it. I don't know how much Vaseline they put on the cut. They couldn't stop it, and from that moment onwards, Tszyu was struggling a little bit with his vision. Fundura had no mercy. He was actually trying to punch. He was trying to hit him in the cuts, so maybe open it up more, just goes to show boxing is a game where there's no mercy. But Tszyu, I felt he dealt with it really well. A lot of people would have quit. A lot of people just would have crumbled under that pressure. So one thing I like is Tszyu showed what he's made of. It's one thing saying that you're a throwback fighter and that you'll fight anyone and, having the persona as a tough guy, but he proved it in this fight. I think he proved what he's made of. Tszyu is tough for anyone. Massive gash on his forehead. It didn't break his willpower. It didn't stop his momentum. Even when he was getting hit because he couldn't see, he just kept pushing for it. He didn't give up at all, and that's what made the fight close. So I think Tszyu definitely, for me, impressed me in the first half of the fight, and then in the later half where he was getting caught, Fundura was kind of gathering momentum. I felt like Tszyu still didn't wilt under the pressure, if you know what I mean. So, he lost in the end, split decision. I don't want to be biased. I like Tszyu, and I feel like I would have liked to give him the decision, but maybe, I'm wrong. This is just one fight that I'm not sure about. I personally thought Tszyu won, but however, I have to watch the fight again due to the fact that obviously Fundura won. I thought it was close. Fundura was doing some good work, but I thought he was being outworked early on. And it's only after the cut that he started to really land those jabs. I felt like his work rate was really good. He was throwing some good shots. He took his time. Fundura doesn't normally do that, but he seems to have learnt from that knockout loss that he had last time. And Tszyu started struggling a little bit. So maybe that's why they gave it to Fundura. Fundura did land some eye-catching shots, but Tszyu wasn't shaken. I didn't see him shaken by anything, really. I mean, a few good shots that he landed, you could see that Tszyu was a little bit hurt, but in general, Tszyu's a tough guy. I didn't see him really get rocked at any point. And like I said, when the momentum shifted and it was going against Tszyu, he still tried to do his best and come back in the fight. And there was always moments, there was never a moment where he was out of the fight or anything. So split decision, I don't know. It's controversial. I feel like, okay, Fundura got the win. He deserves it. It was very close. I couldn't say either way. I'm happy either way. If Tszyu would have got the nod, I would have been happy, and I'm happy that Fundura got the nod. But I think before interjecting Errol Spence into the fight, I think they should have a rematch. I think they should have a rematch, personally. I think that it was so close, and Tszyu did so well. He was such a valiant champion as well. I think that he deserves a rematch. I'd like to see a rematch, to be honest, because I think it's just I kind of feel bad for Tszyu. He got this cut early on, and then he lost split decision, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that decision. Personally, I'd like to see a rematch, but if not, Fundura goes on to fight maybe Errol Spence instead of Terence Crawford. What do you think about that? I don't know. There's a lot of things going on here. It's funny how Errol Spence suddenly shows up trying to get a fight with one of these two, but he wasn't that enthusiastic to fight a rematch with Terence Crawford. He really wasn't. He said, "Oh, I'll fight Terence Crawford. I've just got this surgery. I've just got this recovery." Saying that you'll fight, but showing pictures that you're coming out of the hospital. No footage of you training. Nothing of you saying, I want this fight. I'm ready. Nothing like that. Just, I want the fight. He wasn't really. What I'm saying is that he didn't protest to get the fight, the rematch with Terence Crawford, like the way he's protesting for this fight against Fundura. I don't know what you think, man. You might call me a hater, Spence hater, but I'm definitely not. Funny enough, I actually agree with Spence. I don't think he should fight Crawford again, or at least at the moment. I actually think that he's made a calculated decision, and if I was Spence's advisor, I'd tell him the same thing. Take your ego out of it. Don't fight Terence Crawford again, and, the same result. Take your ego out of it. I think that Errol Spence made the right decision by ducking Terence Crawford. Like I said, take the ego out of it. Fight the winner of this fight. Get a few fights under your belt. Get back into the groove of fighting. Get your timing back. Get all these things back. And then call out Terence Crawford again when you really feel like you're ready. Because Terence Crawford, I tell you now, it's going to be the toughest fight he's ever going to have. He's going to have to be at 100%. And the only way you can know that you're at 100% is by fighting other guys and seeing where you're at. Before you fight the big boss, which is Terence Crawford, you need to fight these other guys. And if you don't do well against them, you know where you're at. Errol Spence is good enough to kind of scrape by a split decision win against Fundura and some of these other guys. And basically just get that timing and just acclimatize to the weight. You know, he needs to do a lot of things before fighting Terence Crawford. So I'm happy that Errol Spence actually made the smart decision. He didn't go with his ego. He could have pushed for the rematch with Terence Crawford, but he kind of, his ego was basically trying to save face and let people know that he's going for the rematch without actually going for the rematch. I know Errol Spence doesn't really want the rematch, and that's fine. That's fine. I think Errol Spence is not a coward. I think if he has a few fights first at 154 pounds and he has some tough fights, I think he'll get his confidence back and call out Terence Crawford for real, and then he really will want the rematch. But he knows he's not ready. We know he's not ready. You know what I mean? So I've got nothing against him ducking Terence Crawford and now campaigning to fight Fundura. Let me know what you think. Those views are very controversial. But apart from that, the fight was a great fight. Good performance by both guys. I would love to see the rematch because I think it's kind of unfair that Tszyu lost. But it was still a great fight. The only problem, the thing I don't like about Spence coming in the ring at the end of the fight, is that I think Terence Crawford deserves the winner. I think that Spence should campaign to fight the loser, which was Tszyu. You know, but to kind of avoid Terence Crawford and then go straight to trying to get the fight with Fundura, it's kind of, I'm not sure. But, you know, either way, Fundura's a tough guy. Spence shouldn't overlook this guy. It's at a completely different weight, and Fundura is punching for real. You know, so he's no joke. So it might not be as easy as maybe Spence has in his mind. He may, you know, try to avoid Terence Crawford and run into a 6'6" brick wall. Who knows? Let me know what you think. I'm on to the next one.
I said, guess who's back? Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back?